You are now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
Sitting looking back on all the times we shared, when I acted like I just didn't really care, and it wasn't fair. You stood by me, girl, when I was so untrue. But this is my promise, girl, I give to only you. Let me be the one you come running to. When you need me, I'll be there, just to let you know that I do care. Baby, I promise, girl, I promise, I'll always be true. And baby, I promise, girl, I promise you that I'll be right here for you. No matter the problem, babe, I'll stand by your side. Be right by your side. We share can never be denied. I know the love in me wasn't always easy.
You are now tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the next big thing, the latest up-and-coming sports journalist, your host, Nathan Snell.
What? What? And you got to be kidding me.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win. And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You go play to win. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then retire. Get out. Because it matters.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
This is how I believe, okay? I'm from the old school. I believe this. I would rather play with 10 people and just get penalized all the way until we got to do something else, rather than play with 11 when I know that right now that person is not sold out to be a part of this team. It is more about them than it is about the team. I cannot play with them, cannot win with them, cannot coach with them, can't do it. I want winners. I want people that want to win.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Mr. Anthony Haney, thank you for that introduction. Before we get into it, there's a few things I want to say up front. You should have seen episode 14 of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. We talked about Maryland's men's basketball team yesterday. In this episode, we are painfully talking about the Washington Commanders. The last time you saw me, we talked about them playing previewing the game against Los Angeles. And things happened after that. So didn't recap that game because Christmas break was obviously here. So we're going to recap that game as well as this Jets loss. I'm really going to just hold off my overall season thoughts until really the end of the season, once the season's over. Because we still got 2 more games. The white flag has already been thrown. I'm pretty much checked out at this point in the season. At this point, I really can't even really be angry anymore at this point, because if the season's almost over, it's time just for a cleansing. And that's what you're going to see in this episode. We're going to talk about the Baltimore Ravens as they defeat the San Francisco 49ers. We're also going to preview Maryland women's basketball team as they get ready for their final home game this upcoming weekend. They do have immediate availability tomorrow before the game. It's about 2:30, so I'm going to keep in mind of that. And then Maryland's football. They play as well, so you'll see an episode on that. And that'll probably be it. I'm probably going to do a combined episode with Baltimore and Washington as they play their last games in December. So they're going to be both preview both against the Dolphins and against San Fran for Washington. And they will have the year review 2023, and that'll pretty much end season 17. As far as the rest of this goes, thank you for the support you give me in this channel. You will see some content on MarylandSportsBlog.com soon. Just be patient with me, please. But yeah, let's get into it. We're going to start with the loss to the Los Angeles Rams. We lost that game. It was painful. 28-20. My notes of what I took away from that game. Obviously, we all know that Sam Howell was benched in the fourth quarter. I don't, at the time, going with 3 games up to the season, it's pretty much a wrap. I don't want to call this an experiment, but as I'm watching the game, he just struggled. He had moments. He looked good, like the touchdown, Curtis Samuel, the 4th down pass to Terry McLaurin. I mean, he was 11 of 26, 102 yards total. That just wasn't a good game, and I can't defend that. He had an interception that was ugly, threw it across his body towards Terry. But respectfully, this is just me, but Jacoby Brissett, even though he gave us the best chance to win, if Jacoby Brissett had started 14 up until this past week, if he was a week 1 starter, he would be dealing with the same issues that Sam has dealt with. I mean, in 2 drives, yes, he was 8 of 10, 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. But I mean, even though he and Terry were on the same page compared to Sam, I really don't see it. I don't see where there's a spark, because I'm kind of like, well, where was this 14 game for the last 14 games? And for me, even coming into this week against the Jets, I felt it was just best to bench Sam, because I mean, at this point, you can't tell me it's confidence, because I think it is. I mean, he's I think he's doing too much. I think a lot of it's in his head. The offense line's crappy. It's just a lot. And I feel like on one hand, he can use the reps to grow, but on the other hand, I just feel like you're facing, to me, up until the Jets game, you're facing them, San Fran, and Dallas. So I don't really know what to really take away from that. I thought in the loss to Los Angeles, we did see some explosive plays. That's been the story of this year. How many explosive plays have we given up? And it's been an issue, a weekly issue. Case in point, where we gave that 62-yarder touchdown to Cooper Kupp. Again, it's easy to just place blame on who's responsible for covering him, the type of defense. But the fact that he had 17 yards, looking back at the tape, of separation, that's the most I think it's happened since 2016. I saw that on a tweet, Next Gen Stat, and it's the secondary. It's just it's just bad. And it showed. And then he connected to Matthew Stafford to Demarcus Robinson on that 3rd and 9. And then Kyron Williams broke loose for that 27-yard game. Like, there were other moments I can explain to you guys. But at the end of the day, is Washington's defense in some spots played well, did okay, but they failed in limiting big plays, and I just didn't like that. I thought the offense, going back to the offense, I really thought we left some points out there on the field. I felt like we had a chance to win this game, and especially looking the first 4 of our 6 drives, they all ended in 3 and outs. And the 4th one was a turnover on downs, if I remember correctly, because of our long snapper, Karen Cheeseman. I'm gonna leave that one alone. But there was some consistency on the second drive. And unfortunately, Sam Howell had a pass, thrown a pass Logan Thomas. That was batted down. We were down 13-0. We only had a total of 87 total net yards compared to what the Rams had, which was 242. And that simply will not win you football games.
I mean, this is some bad stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how much more of this I can take. I just don't know. This is ridiculous. Oh, Lord.
And even when we had Jacoby Brissett out there, and there's still problems there. I mean, outside the 2 scores, there was the goal line, the red zone offense. It took us 9 times to get into the end zone against the Rams, and there was just at one point under 5 minutes. It's the 4th quarter where after the Terry McLaurin catch for 49 yards, we're at the 1, and then there was the one where under 2 minutes where Curtis Samuel got open. Like, I really just felt like, again, a lot of missed opportunities, and that hurts. And as I talked about on defense, I mean, giving up 28 points for the 10th time this season, and giving up over 400 yards since the 7th time this season. But I mean, I saw some like positivity. I mean, we did create some turnovers. We were down 2 scores at halftime. It could have been worse. We forced 2 fumbles from Kyron Williams. I'll give the defense credit on that. That was the first turnover that we had forced since the New England game. So I feel like when you're on the road, that's confidence. So, I mean, there's something you could definitely build off on that. And then they follow up on the first was a 3 and outs that they just got 6 yards. But I mean, offense, they couldn't capitalize on those turnovers. I mean, if I remember correctly, if it wasn't immediately after the game because of Cam Cheeseman, he was cut. So, yeah. So there was a lot of there. But Los Angeles, yeah, just did enough. And unfortunately, we are eliminated from the playoffs. It really wasn't a shock. Like I said, I really wasn't expecting us to go out there and win. I just feel as though at this point you're just playing for your jobs next year, and coaches too. Because me personally, if I had it my way, some of these dudes got to go, and it shows. And simply, I can't. I really don't really have much else to say for Washington. For Los Angeles' side, Matthew Stafford, especially coming off the bye week, been looking great. His last 3 games, he's thrown 10 touchdowns, 1 interception. He just looked pretty good. There was the one drive where they were 5 for 5 for 41 yards. They gave him the field goal. He finished 25 of 33 for 258 yards, 2 touchdowns, and of course his security blanket, Cooper Kupp. There really wasn't much else to really take away from that, but it just, I don't know. This was, it just, I don't know. I'm. It's hard to really try to find reasoning in some of these losses. Like I said, staying on the Rams side, Sean McVay, I've seen the same thing as Baltimore, for example, the red zone mistakes. They had only last week previous, they had the open of 9 consecutive runs to throw the ball 3 straight times within the 10. And even though he was a little bit more balanced getting to the red zone, they threw it again 3 straight times instead of for a field goal. Mind-boggling to me. There's still a decent red zone offense, but there's still room for improvement. At least two of those 3 opportunities, you should have given Kyron the ball. That's just my opinion. I think also too, their defense was big. They didn't have Quentin Lake out there. Quentin Lake up until this week just returned from injury because he's been out for last 3 games, if I remember correctly. So that helped. Their secondary had some issues, but they really give Raheem Morris some credit for when it mattered to make the right plays. So their special teams as well, I think, I didn't see any issues, but their special teams still have some things to work out. I know that they had Mason Crosby signed and then he got injured. Their punt team guys got a little better. Their punter had a great punt that pinned us with inside the 10. The special team unit did well, but the kicker, he missed a 43-yard. Lucas Harvest, he missed a 43-yard, if I remember correctly. He's now 4 of 8 from 40 or more this season. And they did opt to keep him because he did have a couple clutch kicks against Baltimore the week before. So I don't know how that's going to look. So, but when you look at the stats, respectfully, you look at it will not reflect how this game should not have been closer than it should have been. You can make an argument that Los Angeles should have at least 2 scores. It should have been more like 35-17. But that was self-inflicted. Like, the red zone offense at times. They just couldn't pull away and just find ways to beat Washington. Hey, look, you're coming off a short week. You take the wins as they come. So some of it was definitely some things they got to work on too. And their defense, though, in that last drive, I thought was key. The late goal line stance played a role in that. So you have the Rams credit. Sucks for us, but they now control their own destiny. They're now, as of last week, up until this week, they were the 7th seed. So I do believe that they can win. I know they get Sanford in week 18. They beat the Saints, and they get the Giants. So they can catch a playoff spot, if I'm saying that correctly. But other than that, that was pretty much that game. But before we get into the Washington Commanders versus New York Jets, producers, please help me. Let's get to the sponsor of Big Name Sports Talk Podcast, and that is Zagnif Apparel. Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to dress like you're already famous? You can and you will with Zagnif Apparel.
The following is a presentation of Zagnif Productions, LLC. Introducing Zagnif Apparel. Our comfortable line of leisure wear and athletic wear will have you comfortable and stylish at any occasion.
Whether you're at the gym, out shopping, or just relaxing at home. Whether you're an athlete or just want to lay around the house, we've got the perfect outfit for you. Stop by our website today and pick up your favorite pieces. Zagnif Apparel. Dress like you're already famous.
You can and you will dress like you're already famous with a nice 15% off using my discount code off your final purchase, Big Nate, for 15% off. Zagnif Apparel, thank you so much for being a sponsor of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. We're back, and let's just get right into it. The Washington Commanders lost to the New York G-Men 30-28. Essentially, Jacoby Brissett was out there again. At this point, it's best that he starts the rest of the season. For Sam, look, it's not all his fault. I got flack for this last year with Carson Wentz, and nowhere shape or form are they the same. But I see the same similar issues in terms of like I can't justify him being the starter for the last two games. I can't defend 6 of 22 for 56 yards and 2 interceptions and then getting benched again for a second straight week. And then here's Jacoby Brissett. I mean 10 of 13 for 100 yards and touchdown. Like, I'm going to give this man a cookie. That was great. But I think there has been a difference in how Samuel and Jacoby have led this offense last 2 weeks. Yes, Jacoby has scored 5 touchdowns with him back there compared to where the last 2 games is for Sam's only thrown 5 in the last 5 games. He's shown promise, but I just think that, again, he's young. This is essentially his first. He's a rookie, and look look at what's around him. Like, I hate that. Need that use hate. Hate's a strong word. I get triggered because when we're watching games, we're looking at the roster. I think sometimes we don't see what's around the quarterback. Like, as I said earlier, Jacoby Brissett for 14 games has not had to deal with a crappy offensive line. If we had Jacoby Brissett out there week 1 and had these same issues, we're asking for him to be benched. Like, I just think at this point with Sam, it's confidence. I mean, the kid was on pace to be sacked 100 times. I mean, at this point, I feel like now it's now in his head. And that's where coaching matters. Like, somebody has to, I just feel like benching him was the right thing to do. I hate to say it that way. It was best. And then don't get me started on Ron's decision-making late in the game. We had our foot on their ankle. We should have beaten them. We let the offense down the field with 3 straight touchdown drives. We had a chance to ice this game with a first down under 2 minutes. Rather than try to end the game, you ran the ball 3 times with 1 minute and 41 seconds. In most situations under 2-minute warning, that's smart. But they moved the ball so well in the fourth quarter and should have let the offense try to win the game instead of depending on a defense that has allowed most points per game this season to get more than 1 stop. Now, if that's not coaching, if that's not this is exactly why you need to go, Ron moment,
I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
What was that? What the hell was that? I'm sorry the H words and the D words aren't appropriate over the airways, but it's going to be today. I don't know how much more of this I can take. How in God's name?
He didn't even try.
So that pretty much right there, those last 2 minutes just tells you within a microscope just how, from a coaching standpoint, we've looked and you can't defend that. So, and especially not this year, but last season too. And special teams once again was doo-doo. I'm just going to keep it real. Special teams to me is an important part of your football team. There's three parts: defense, offense, special teams. And Tressway had a punt blocked that gave him the first touchdown of the game. What would have been I thought a great return for Jamison Crowder. When I don't know what happened, he just fumbled the ball and led to them kicking a field goal. And then their final touchdown drive came from when you jumped off sides for a 4th and 3 before the punt. That's a very interesting way to invent yourself to losing games. Yeah. So, and the secondary, don't get me started with the secondary. They didn't look that much better. They have been a liability all this season. And like I said, I didn't see much difference once Montez and Chase got traded. They came in this week. They were 32nd in net yards per pass attempt allowed, 32nd in passing yards allowed, 32nd in total yards allowed, 32nd in points allowed. They allowed Trevor Siemian, who threw 217 yards passing with 1 touchdown and a pick, an 8-play, 31-yard drive to win the game. And then again, it makes you ponder benching Emmanuel Forbes early in the season. What good did that do? And yet, this defense, sorry to say, is garbage, worse than last year. And my mock draft needs are a lot. And again, testing. Quarterback's not fixing these problems. Anywho, I just feel like the inability to stop just creating a pass rush, having something, it's not helping. I did see there was some things I was okay, I was happy about, but I mean, Greg Zuerlein had the game-winning field goal. It was a second victory for the Jets in 8 games. We erased a 21-point lead deficit going into, which I like that. And you're on the road. No, sorry, we were home. So no, on the road. Excuse me. So I saw some silver linings there. I mean, we did improve our chances of getting a top 3 pick in the draft. So I guess that could be a Christmas present. I don't really feel great about that personally. And it's funny, I read somewhere where ESPN had actually given us an 80% chance of picking the top 3 if we lost the last 3 games of the season. And then the New York Jets beat us now 4 straight times against us since 2011. And looking at the schedule, they were the weakest And now you've got San Fran and then Dallas. Yeah. So, and kind of to expand a little bit more on the defense, I felt as though our defense did okay. We forced New York to punt 5 of their 6 possessions in the second half. The other drive was where Cody Barton had intercepted Trevor Siemian. Brees Hall had ran the ball 20 times for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he caught the ball 12 times for 96 yards passing. And there was on that included that add on that 14-yard gain to set up Greg Drummond for that game-winning drive. And then looking at defensively, like, okay. But this offense as a whole, the Jets, they only managed 103 yards in the loss to Miami. And then they doubled that against Washington. I really don't know how you can not say to yourself, okay, because I feel like for the Jets, this win was important for Robert, for Coach Sahala. Because me personally, I've said it. I think the experiment with Zach Wilson's over. I think he needs a change of scenery. Personally, I don't see how Joe Douglas keeps his job. Personally, there's some things that the Jets need to work on. I just didn't realistically see Aaron Rodgers coming back off an injury that severe and coming back with an offensive line that's not that needs tremendous improvement. Their defense is top tier. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a top 10 defense in my opinion, top 5 arguably. But that offense, it needs work. This is the same offensive line where for 4 plays Aaron Rodgers was behind. So him coming back, I didn't really see what that was going to do if they were to play, if they were in contention. And then Zach Wilson was out due to concussion protocol. So I didn't really see what there's just some things that they need to work on in the offseason. Were they bad? Sure, but they weren't as bad as Washington. And I hate to be the dead horse, but I mean there really wasn't that much to just really feel for Washington, other than it just was disappointing. I mean, at this point, like I said, you're playing for your job, you're playing for your coaching. This is a good opportunity just to display what you can bring for other teams, and who knows? I mean, Washington. The look on the bright side, they have the money in the offseason. I'm curious to see what they'll do with it. Personally, I mean, they have what $89-90 million projected in salary cap to fix that for free agency. I'm curious to see what they'll do with the draft capital. Let me just get out the way. For me, their draft needs offensive line, tight end, wide receiver, defensive line, D-line, linebacker, corner, safety. They need all that. and for me, I'm not going to say who they should draft right now because I've seen some mock drafts already, and some of them had 3 quarterbacks already taken within the first 3 picks. And me personally, I just disagree with that. So I'm going to hold off on that until the 1.0 mock draft. But yeah, those are my takeaways from the lost New York Jets. I mean, I liked it. I mean, this was a game I could say, you know what, you're down 21 at halftime and the comeback, and I had a chance to win the game. I have to give some props for that. I can't just say, oh well, that was, we had it, but just Washington just being Washington and at the wrong time. So let's get into the one final thought of the podcast.
thoughts are running through my mind. So I took some time to find a minute or two to organize.
My one final thought is essentially when you look at this season, you try to remain optimistic for the future. For me, I look at it when you're building a team, it starts at the top. It starts from ownership, and then it's what you have in the front office. You know, you have people that are not yes people, and more importantly, you have people that want to bring a winning culture. Like when I look at this season, this has just been hot garbage. And I see, again, lack of accountability. I just see, even though I'm happy that we have new ownership, change doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. So, like I said, we still have 2 more games left. We have San Francisco and Dallas, and Jacoby Brissett will be starting in those games. And I expect these guys to go out there and play with max effort. You finish the season off strong. That's the message I will give in the locker room. But I mean, at this point, I think everyone's kind of looking towards the off season and the draft, and I get it. But my mind's not there yet. Even I just gave what the team needs for draft needs wise, but I don't want to get too far ahead. You still got 2 more games, and I think getting through these 2 games is important for me because I think it's just more about a sense of pride. So, I guess the only thing it was a great Christmas present. We could get a top 3 pick, but I'm curious to see what it'll all look like because I feel like this is definitely it's something to build off on, but we'll see how it looks. So that's my one final thought. Merry Christmas, Washington. That's going to conclude this episode of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this episode. On the next episode, we recorded with the Baltimore Ravens. I'll definitely have some things to say in that one, particularly with the San Francisco 49ers Baltimore Ravens game. But with that being said, enjoy the rest of y'all evening. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.
Legitimate questions. I don't have answers. I'm starving for answers. I'm starving for them because I don't have them. I'm so disgusted because I got to be out there at that game this Saturday. I got to see this. Inquiring minds want to know why. I truly do want to know why. I just don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. This is disgusting. It's disgraceful. It's embarrassing. And I'm ticked off. It don't make any sense. This is unacceptable. Unacceptable. And something needs to be done about it. Quick, fast, and in a hurry.
I'm going to reiterate my comments right here, right now. The clock is officially ticking. The honeymoon is over. Damn your feelings. Who gives a damn? You got a job to do. And the job ain't even a championship. It's to be respectable. And you can't even do that?
And they have normalized this bullshit.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share the next big thing, the next up-and-coming sports journalist, Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
I want to thank you, yeah. I want to thank you. Ooh. For all the times you put up with me. Thank you. And you helped me retain my sanity. Thank you. I want to thank you. And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you for everything.